Welcome to episode 6 of In His Bag. This is going to be an interesting episode, jam packed episode, a lot of stuff to get to. NFL, a lot of news there with the new league year coming through, an interesting main topic, something that I never thought I would be doing, and then some fun with game time. So let's get started. Cue that intro music.
Tedeschi dentro su volta per Dybala, attenzione va la gioia Dybala! Oh God! Stokely down the sideline! Can they catch him? Stokely! Wow!
They do have a timeout. Decide not to use it. Curry way downtown. Bang! Bang!
Okay, I mentioned there's a lot of stuff to get into, but I just wanted to put this out there. It is a lot of stuff, so be prepared. Take some notes if you want to. A lot of stuff is going down. NFL trade or free agency is starting up. New league year is starting up on Monday, so I'll keep you guys updated as best I can. Let's get into the news. The NFL league year is closing in fast, so a lot of stuff is happening. We are going to start off first in Seattle, and the Seahawks and Rashid Shaheed are said to not be close to an extension, and he's expected to test out free agency on Monday. So it'll be interesting to see where exactly he ends up. He was a hot trade target at the trade deadline, ended up signing with the Seahawks from the Saints, ended up winning the Super Bowl, and he was a big part of that offense. He had a couple kick return touchdowns. That opening touchdown against the 49ers was huge. He showed off his ability to be a crucial piece for them, a great deep threat for any team in the league. And honestly, he can be very useful for a lot of teams. Think about it. The Chiefs could be a potential target because Andy Reid has a obsession with fast receivers, and he definitely fits that bill. Other than that, other options could include the 49ers need a receiver after the whole Ayuk deal. I don't know what exactly they're planning to do with Juwan Jennings and Ricky Pearsall. The Chargers could also use a deep threat receiver like that. It would be very, very useful for them as well. So, and also the Broncos as well. There's a lot of options for him. A lot of teams that could go out and seek him in free agency. I think that he'll have a big market. So it'll be interesting to see where he lands. I think he's going to go to a contender of some sort, a team that thinks that he is one of their missing pieces that could really help boost their offense in a way that they didn't have before, that he could really stretch the field for them. So it's honestly another move that I'm kind of surprised Seattle did. They also didn't tag Kenneth Walker, and now he's also a unrestricted free agent. So it's kind of weird. I don't know what exactly they're planning to do and whether there's some what their plan is there, because you're getting rid of two of your top 3 weapons right now. You kept JSN, but you got rid of your star running back and now your number 2 receiver. It doesn't exactly make sense for the Seahawks at all. And then next piece of news, the Chiefs and the Rams worked out a deal that sent All-Pro Trent McDuffie to the Rams for a package that included 4 picks, including one of the 2 Rams picks this season, the 29th overall pick. And McDuffie went on to sign, or he's going to sign a long-term deal. So the picks include, like I said, the 29th overall pick in this year's draft, but also 2026 fifth and sixth round pick and a 2027 third round pick. So it's an interesting move, to say the least. Clearly, it fulfills a need for the Rams because their cornerback room was their glaring hole on defense that they had to fill out. So that is clearly what they did here, and it makes a lot of sense. And then for the Chiefs, this move continues a trend of what they've been giving away their promising DBs after they had good seasons. They did the same thing with L'Jarius Sneed, traded him to the Titans, even though that didn't exactly work out. So maybe the Chiefs know something that the Rams don't about McDuffie. Maybe there's some health issue, or maybe he's on the decline, something that we don't know. But it'll be interesting to see what that looks like for the Rams, because they're clearly adding pieces to their secondary. And we're just going to continue going off of that. And the Rams and safety Cam Curl have agreed to a 3-year, $36 million deal with a max value of $39 million. Essentially, it's $12 million a year with the potential. It's essentially $12 million per year, potential to be $13 million per year. And this just builds off of the Trent McDuffie deal and the Rams wanting to build out their secondary, because it is the place that they struggled last year. Their offense was fine. Their front seven, that D-line, is great. It's just their secondary that had a lot of issues, both in coverage, both man coverage and zone. So fixing up that side of the ball is their biggest need, and I think Sean McVay and their GM, they've understood that, and they've made it their priority. Now it'll be interesting because they did get rid of one of their later of their 2 first-round picks, so they still have that Falcons first-round pick that they got from the James Pierce trade, or draft pick trade that happened. So now it'll be interesting to see if a lot of people have been projecting them to take a corner with that pick. It'll be interesting to see if they still take a corner with that pick, or now with the McDuffie trade and the extension of Cam Curl, if they still go with a DB or a safety, or if they potentially shift gears and go in another direction. One thing that's been interesting to me that I saw is that I believe it was Caleb Downs was flagged for a partially torn meniscus at the combine and supposedly a degenerative ACL, which kind of sounds like what happened to Will Johnson last year. Like a top DB had some lingering injury issue that caused him to fall. If Caleb Downs falls to that Rams pick, I believe it is in the mid-teens, and they pick up Caleb Downs, that would be amazing for them. But I don't know if Caleb Downs would fall that far. But that would be something to watch for, in my opinion. So I like this move. I like both of these moves, the McDuffie and the Cam Curl move. Both of them are smart moves for a Rams team that is honestly Super Bowl contender again this year. And then we're going to continue on with the Rams. The Rams have agreed to a 2-year contract worth $8 million with their tight end, Tyler Higbee. This is just shoring up their roster. Unlike the defense and the secondary, which they addressed with McDuffie and Cam Curl, their offense doesn't really need any addressing. They just got to bring players back, and bringing back Tyler Higbee is going to do exactly that. They still got Puka. They still got Devontae. They still got Stafford. They still got Kyron Williams, and this just solidifies that. It gives Sean McVay his weapons back. So this is a nice solid move for them. That is something that honestly was expected. But even if he didn't sign, it wasn't going to be a ground-breaking, ground-altering free agent. So pretty calm, pretty low-key move there. And then we go from one Super Bowl contender to the other. The Bills are trading for DJ Moore. I wrote about this yesterday. This move gives Josh Allen a true wide receiver one, something that he's been lacking since Stephon Diggs. It slots Khalil Shakir back into his wide receiver two role that is honestly more logical. He's not a wide receiver one despite that massive contract that he was given. And it just gives them another weapon that they've been lacking. DJ Moore, 4 out of his 8 seasons in the NFL, he's had 1,100 yards receiving. So he is that number one receiver that the Bills have been lacking. And this is the first major move for them in the Joe Brady era after the firing of Sean McDermott, after those comments from Terry Pagula about their wide receiver room and Keon Coleman and the issues there. So it'll be nice to see Josh Allen back with another dominant receiver. And basically, I said this is the first number one receiver since Stephon Diggs, so it'll be interesting to see if the Bills' offense can get. I don't want to say if the Bills' offense can get back to that level because Josh Allen is the real motor behind that, but he didn't really have a great performance in the divisional game against the Broncos. So if this move can help Josh Allen overcome the issues that he had in that divisional round, the turnovers, things like that. If bringing in DJ Moore could do that, that'll be great. And then for the Bears, this was something that had been speculated for a while. DJ Moore was falling a bit out of favor, out of the road. He wasn't the number one receiver anymore. And I had seen some stuff saying that they were trying to favor the youth, the younger players like Luther Burden, things like that, to really just rotate out the roster, start fresh, keep their young core with Caleb Williams, Rome Odunze, Luther Burden, build around that rather than keeping an older receiver like DJ Moore. So I think for both teams, this is a good deal, and I really like this for them. After that, we step away from the contenders and we get over to a bit more low-key stuff. The first thing is 8-time Pro Bowler Cam Jordan is going to be a free agent for the first time in his 15-year career. He had 10.5 sacks last year. He is open to leaving the Saints, so that is something that hasn't, like I said, he's never been a free agent, and honestly, something that I never would have thought would happen. He is, I believe, the Saints' all-time sack leader. He has 132 sacks in his Saints career. He is honestly one of my favorite players. He has an interesting personality. I'll just leave it at that. But he has seen a bit of a downtrend in recent years. Since 2022, He's had in 2022 he had 8.5, then it dropped to 2 in 2023, it dropped to and it was 4 in 2024. Last year he had a bit of a bounce back with 10.5, but he's been on a bit of a decline. So it makes sense, but it's also something that you don't really want to see as a Saints fan. However, there are options for him. There are teams that are going to be contacting him to see if they can work something out. I think that the Bengals are going to be one team going into the bargain bin for an older defensive end after they didn't franchise tag Trey Hendrickson. Just bring in some assets on the defense, see what they can do there. Have Cam Jordan potentially mentor and coach up some of those young players that they have, some of the young players that they're going to draft this year, because I believe they should take someone on the defensive line because their secondary showed promise. Their D-line was not great. So bringing Cam Jordan in for the Bengals wouldn't be a bad move there. And then there are probably some other teams that could use a veteran D-end to really boost up their team and figure out what they want to do. And then after Cam Jordan deal, we'll stick with the low-key players. Well, not really low-key, but a good move. The Chargers have agreed to terms with Commanders center Tyler Biadasz on a 3-year deal worth $30 million, so roughly $10 million per year, depending on how all the things work out. He was cut by the Commanders after being set to make $8.3 million. So for the Chargers, we'll start there. This is absolutely a need for them. Their offensive line was horrible. I've been talking about it all offseason. I talked about it all season 2. It was something that terrified people the entire season. Rashad Slater was out. They had Joe Alt was back and forth with an injury. And then Bradley Bozeman, who was horrible, he retired. So this move, it addresses that hole left there. And honestly, it's a good move. Biadasz is not a bad center at all. I like this a lot for them. Like I've been saying, it addresses that O-line hole and protection, and hopefully gives Justin Herbert some more protection, something that he's been lacking. Honestly, his entire time in LA, and with Mike McDaniels coming in as the OC, it'll be interesting to see if this upgrade in protection will lead to bigger splash plays and just better offense in general from the Chargers. Also, a lot of people project the Chargers to take some form of offensive lineman in the draft. I think that they'll probably take a lineman, probably take a guard at some point to fill out either guard slot, with both of their guards leaving this season. So this is smart for them. And then for the Commanders, they cut Biadasz. So I'll just leave it at that. I'm not too sure what the Commanders are trying to do. Why they're cutting Biadasz is also a bit beyond me. Jaden Daniels was hurt last year, and it's clear that he needs protection. So cutting your starting center wasn't exactly the smartest thing in the world to do, but it does make some sense when you consider that he was going to make $8.3 million. And I don't know if the Commanders wanted to really afford that money for him when they could put it in other places and prioritize other needs. And then the last real extension that happened Again, another one of those smaller moves is that the Texans and Daniil Hunter have agreed to a 1 year contract extension, and the money on this deal is insane. It's a $40 million contract extension with 30 million with a 30 million signing bonus. That's insane amount of money for Daniil Hunter, but it makes I don't want to say it makes sense because that's a lot of money, but you don't have Will Anderson up for a contract just yet. You don't have CJ Stroud up for a contract just yet, so spending them all that money just this year alone and just burn through that makes sense. However, I feel like you could have allocated some of that money to other needs, and there are a lot of other needs on the offense. Sure, you brought in David Montgomery as a running back, but I talked about it during the news episode. You have David Montgomery, and then no one else. You have Woody Marks and the ghost of Joe Mixon. I think Nick Chubb is a free agent, so you don't have him either. You could spend it at running back. The offensive line needed help. CJ Stroud was not very well protected. And then you're trading away your linemen too. You traded away Juice Scruggs in that Montgomery trade. You traded another lineman away to the Bears for, I believe, a 5th-round pick, if I'm not mistaken. So you could have allocated some of that money to a lineman. And also on the receiver core, you could have receiver core isn't bad, but you potentially could have allocated that money to something in the receiver core as well. Just anyone on the offense, I think, would have been smart to allocate some of that money to, but also in general, just shoring up that defense wasn't a mistake because the defense was amazing. They were a monster unit. DeMeco Ryans, ever since he's been there, has had that defense firing on all cylinders, and just having that combo of Daniil Hunter and Will Anderson on the edges is disgusting. So, very nice move for them. I like it, even though the money is a bit much for me. And those are all the major moves. I'll get into a bit of a rapid fire, the NFL, of players that are going to be released at the start of the new league year. We'll start off with the Falcons. They're releasing wide receiver Darnell Mooney. Not much to say there. Then the Chiefs are releasing Jawan Taylor, which helps them save money. It saves them $20 million under the cap. I forgot to mention the cap went up. I believe it hit 30 or 300 million for the first time in NFL history. If I'm not mistaken, I think the number is 301.2 million is the salary cap this season. So Chiefs are under that. The Jawan Taylor move helps them get 20 million under there. And then the Patriots are releasing Stephon Diggs. I don't know if this is contractual, if this is to help them get under the cap, or if this is related to some of the charges that he is facing. So whatever the case is, the Pats have released Diggs. I don't know where exactly he'll end up, whether or not he'll face a suspension from the league, what'll happen with that court case as well. And then I mentioned the Chargers and their offensive guard spots are open because they have released Mekhi Becton, which saves them $9.7 million in cap space. They're also releasing tight end Will Dissly. So most of these moves are just clearing up cap space. And for the Chargers, Mekhi Becton was he was part of the problem in LA. He was one of those linemen that was bad. So getting rid of him was the smart thing to do. And then the Vikings, they're releasing Jonathan Allen. He could potentially find other suitors. There are teams that need veteran defensive players, kind of like Cam Jordan. And then the Steelers are releasing Jonnu Smith. I've seen some funny comments about this. I've seen people say Arthur Smith is checking if he has any years of eligibility left, which is kind of funny. Because Arthur Smith's obsession with Jonnu Smith is hilarious. So you never know there. I don't know where exactly Jonnu Smith will end up, but he's not a horrible player. He still has something left in the tank. And then after that, the Cowboys are restructuring Dak, CD, and Tyler Smith's contract. They're clearing up. I don't remember off the top of my head. I want to say like $40 million in cap space. Some just absurd money that makes a lot of sense in general. The report is that before these moves, they were $55 million over the cap, but the restructuring cleared around $66 million in cap space. So that turnaround is just ridiculous. And honestly, this is blasphemous, but I think I might buy into what Jerry said, and that the Cowboys might actually be buyers in free agency for the first time in forever. Not to quote Frozen here, but for the first time in forever, Jerry Jones might actually be right about something. He might actually do something in free agency, which is a miracle. And then after that, the Bears are releasing Tremaine Edmonds. That clears up $15 million in cap space for them. Just clearing out some space. I think that they could potentially sign a free agent. They also got moved off of the DJ Moore deal with that trade. So there's that as well. And then finally, the last release that I have seen as of this recording is that the Raiders are releasing Geno Smith. And it makes sense. Geno Smith was absolutely horrible in a Raiders uniform, did not live up to the expectations that they had. They're also going to draft Fernando Mendoza, which he'll be their day one starter, so there's no need for Geno Smith unless they planned on having him as their backup or to potentially ease Fernando into the NFL and have Geno start a couple games, and then after like a 3 interception game, put Fernando in and just go on from there. But no, they're just deciding they're going to throw Fernando into the fire off rip, and it'll be interesting to see if Geno lands with any other teams. I've seen some people joke around that he might go to the Vikings, and because the Vikings, they might just bring in someone to challenge JJ McCarthy to see if he can do anything, and if not, maybe if KOC can revive something in Geno for one last ride, or if not, just bring in someone to challenge McCarthy to see if he can step up his game at all. But that's it for the NFL. Now we got to get into the NBA, and this is something that I didn't think was ever going to happen. I didn't think a lot of people were saying it might. I didn't think it was going to happen this early. Jason Tatum will play the season and he'll make his debut today. I don't know when exactly this is going to be posted, but he might have already made his debut against the Mavericks. This is insane. This is less than 10 months after he got surgery for a torn Achilles, which is, I think, one of the fastest recovery times I've ever seen. Because he's actually returning to play. This is fastest recovery time, throwing out Aaron Rodgers and his dolphin noise recovery, whatever that he tried to do, and in an in-season Achilles recovery that never ended up working because he's a bit of a nut job. But Tatum coming back is honestly insane. I do feel like it's a bit rushed. You don't have to bring him back just yet. The Celtics are still the 2 seed in the East. And it's a surprise to everyone because no one thought that they would be this good. I thought that going into the season, the Celtics should just tank and just get a top pick because, as I've been talking about ever since I started this show, the top picks are amazing. So I thought that the Celtics should just tank, that Brad Stevens would do the logical thing. But no, Brad Stevens decided to put together a super team, and Joe Mazzulla is coaching them to perfection. Their bench is amazing still. Jordan Walsh took a leap. Other bench players took leaps. Jaylen Brown is now in MVP discussions, even though he won't win MVP. I don't care what Boston Celtics fans say. I think that bringing him back this early it's a bit of a rush because you're the 2 seed. I get having him come back during March basketball when nothing really matters that much. You put him on a minutes restriction. Don't have him play 40 minutes a game. Have him play maybe 20. Just ease him back into things. Nothing too crazy. That way, when the playoffs do come around, he's ready. He's ready to ramp up into playoffs and ready to make an impact. And honestly, in a wide open Eastern Conference, maybe win the East again, face off against the Pistons for the Eastern Conference title. Who knows? But yeah, Jason Tatum coming back is just insane to me. It's something that I never thought was going to happen this season. There was speculation. I'm like, there's no way. But hey, apparently anything is possible, to quote Jason Tatum. And anything is indeed possible when you get injured taking a nap. When you're Harrison Barnes. I'm just throwing this in for pure comedy here to end off the news segment. Harrison Barnes missed Tuesday night's game because he woke up from a pregame nap with a sore ankle. Yeah, you heard that right. He woke up with a sore ankle, and that caused him to miss a game. And this caused him to miss a game and break a streak of 364 consecutive games. The first game he missed since 2021. First game he's missed in 5 years. Because he took a nap. That's just insane. I get waking up and your back feels kind of wonky. Maybe you roll it out. Maybe you stretch it out. Okay, yeah, that happens to everyone. Maybe you wake up, your calf is a bit sore because you cramped up during the night or something. That also makes sense. But you play through that stuff. That's nothing crazy. To wake up with a sore ankle and miss the game is just wild to me. What are we talking about here? Just how? It makes no sense. Harrison Barnes, hope you're feeling better, but don't take pregame naps for a while. Maybe you get that streak back on track. So, yeah, just stay safe, dude. That's insane. But that is everything for the news segment. A lot of NFL news. A lot of stuff is happening now. I'll try to keep you guys as updated as possible with all of the free agency moves, all the cuts, all the trades, all the signings, everything that's happening there. And then I'll keep you updated on the other stuff that's happening as well. So until the news episode, that is all the news that I have for you. Now, let's get into the main topic of the episode. Welcome to the main topic of this week's episode. I don't know what exactly came over me when I decided to do this topic, but here we are. So, let's do this. We are going to be power ranking or putting into tier list the greatest dynasties in sports history. This is covering football, basketball, soccer, baseball, hockey, and college sports. So quite a lot. Without further ado, let's just hop right into it. The first team that we are going to be addressing, you can see it here in this top right, is the Saban era Alabama team. This, I want to put it in, because this is hard, because all of these teams are historic. They've altered the way we've looked at sports to some capacity. I'm going to start off Saban, Alabama in nice. When you look at everything, it was an insane time. 6 national titles, 6 natties, 4 Heisman winners, an overall record of 201-29, 9 SEC titles, 16 consecutive 10-win seasons. So that alone right there tells you the level of dominance that has been in the Nick Saban era at Alabama. It's not only the amount of wins, which is, again, insane when you have only 29 losses over, I believe it was almost a 20-year span. That's essentially like a loss and a half per season. That it just doesn't compute in my mind. So that goes into how, and then when you look at the players also that have been produced there, like I said, 4 Heismans. You had Mark Ingram, Derrick Henry, Devontae Smith, and Bryce Young. I will say they haven't exactly gone over to the NFL and been life-altering players apart from Derrick Henry. Mark Ingram had so-so NFL career. So has Bryce Young, and then Devontae Smith is a good number 2, but nothing crazy. So not crazy translation when you look at their Heismans, but there's also the fact that they have 49 first-round picks in the NFL draft, and that's excluding the ones that are going to be taken this year in this year's draft. So some of those players also include Julio Jones, which is a first-ballot Hall of Famer. You have Pat Surtain, a top corner in the league, the top corner in the league, defensive player of the year. Like, you had that monster trio of Judy, Ruggs, Waddle, and Devontae Smith all there at the same time. That was insane. Just the teams that have been there in the Alabama era. I just mentioned that wide receiver trio. There was also at one point their running back room consisted of Mark Ingram, Derrick Henry, and Alvin Kamara. Before Alvin Kamara went to transferred out, went to junior college, went to Tennessee, I believe that's a whole different story. But they had that as the running back room at one point. It just doesn't compute in my mind the level of dominance that this team had. On top of that, they played in 23 bowl games. They went 16-7, but 23 bowl games. That's almost as many losses as bowl games. It's ridiculous when you just put all of that together and just consider what Saban has done for Alabama, how he has morphed college football in a way that's just, there's no parallel. And then, UConn. Next, we're doing UConn's women's basketball. I got to put this in. It doesn't make sense. I'm sorry. I get Saban era college football, but UConn women's basketball just does not compute in my mind. Since 1995, they have won 12 national championships. They hold the longest winning streak of 111 games. 111 games. Keeping in mind, a regular season for college basketball is 30 games. So that is roughly 3 years if you include like March Madness and all that. That's roughly 3 years going undefeated. That's insane. Their coach Gino Auriemma is legendary, but not even the coach. You continue looking at the team. They hold the record for most consecutive Final Four appearances with 14 from 2008 to 2022. And then you look at the roster that Gino Auriemma has been coaching. You have arguably the two GOATs of women's sports. You have Breanna Stewart and you have the WNBA GOAT Diana Taurasi. You also have Nafisa Collier, Tina Charles. Paige Becker's just graduated and is going to play with the Wings. And then you have 50 total players drafted in the WNBA. The amount of dominance over what has been now like a 30-year span, it just doesn't make sense. Even when people thought that UConn was slowly falling off the past couple of years and it was now South Carolina, it was now LSU, it was Iowa. No. It's back with UConn. No, they don't care what anyone has to say. It doesn't matter. It's UConn. So that just doesn't make sense to me. And now we get to 60s and 70s UCLA. I'm going to have this under impressive. Nothing mind-blowing for me, but still very, very good. The highlight for them is 10 national championships in 12 years, including 7 in a row. Overall record, 281-15. You heard that right. 281 wins in 15 losses. Their coach, John Wooden, is what the Wooden Award, the award for basically the best college basketball player, that is who that is named after. The coach of the UCLA team. They featured Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, at the time Lou Alcindor before he changed his name. And college hoops changed rules because of him. They banned the dunk to try and block Kareem. They also went undefeated and won the national championship in 64 and 67. The amount of stuff that this team did, the way that they changed college basketball way back when, before Saban, before the Saban era, before UConn in women's hoop, the way that they changed basketball is it left a long-standing impact on college hoops and college sports in general because they made it popular to go watch college sports games. They changed the way that people really looked at it. It used back then it was mostly just college football that people went to, but not on the West Coast. It was mostly an East Coast thing. It was mostly a Northwest type thing with those schools like Michigan, Ohio, Pennsylvania, New York, schools like in states like that. It wasn't really popular to go watch basketball back in the 60s and 70s, especially college basketball. But that all changed with these UCLA teams. And now we get to a team that holds a special place in my heart. The prime 2000s to 2010s Barcelona team. Oh, wow. This is tough. I don't know where to put them. Because when you just list it out, they changed soccer and they ushered in the modern iteration of soccer as we know it with the tiki-taka style, even though it hasn't properly been replicated by any other team, any other coach, no matter the country, no matter the players. It hasn't been replicated anywhere else in the world since. This team has also won 3 Champions Leagues, powered by the best player in history, Leo Messi. Sorry, not sorry to you Ronaldo fans. I don't care. He is better. They were the first team to ever win the sextuple, which is La Liga, Copa del Rey, Spanish Super Cup, Champions League, UEFA Super Cup, and UEFA Club World Cup. First team to ever do that, and there have only been 3, I believe, total. They had iconic trios. They had MSN, which is a lot of people call the deadliest attacking trio of all time. They had 3 players on the same team, all in 2010. Messi, Iniesta, and Xavi all were the top 3 for the Ballon d'Or, which I believe is the only time that 3 teammates have ever been the top 3. They beat Ronaldo's Manchester United. I just don't know where to put them because they have all the accolades in the world. They have the artistic flair. They have the altering, game-changing perception. So I want to put it's impressive, but I don't want to put them in groundbreaking, life-altering here. Not yet. And then next dynasty that was absolutely amazing. We'll go to the 60s Real Madrid. Nothing crazy. I didn't include any of the Ronaldo Real Madrids, even though they did win 3 Champions Leagues in a row. They won 6 during that era. Even after Ronaldo left with Modric and Cruz, they won 6 total. I don't want to put them just because there were lapses. They lost a lot in La Liga. Barcelona won more La Liga titles during that time. And there were also just big gaps in between when they won their Champions Leagues, even though they were competitive. I put this Real Madrid team because they won the first 5 Champions Leagues, and they were led by legends. In that picture, it's Di Stefano, and then they also had Puskas and Gento, and the president was at the time Bernabeu, which he is the namesake of the Bernabeu, which is their stadium now. But I can't bring myself to put them above any of these other teams, which are just legendary teams that altered the way the sport is played. Yes, Real Madrid had great players, but I wouldn't consider them just life altering, game changing, absurd stuff. Now we get into hockey here. This is tricky. Even though I do follow hockey, I'm not a complete junkie. I'm not in deep as the weeds as I am for football, basketball, and soccer, but I still understand a decent amount. And I understand the 80s Islanders are disgustingly good. They won 4 Stanley Cups in a row. Their top players were legendary in and of themselves. They had players like Mike Bozzy, Bobby Bourne, Clark Gillis, Butch Goring, Anders Kaller, Gord Lane, Dave Langevin, Wayne Merrick, Ken Morrow, Bob Nystrom, Stephen Person, Dennis Potvin, Billy Smith, Dwayne Sutter, John Tonetti, and Brian Trottier. So those alone, some legendary players, but they also, during their span, they had, what is it, 4 Conn Smythe winners with Brian Trottier, Butch Goring, Mike Bossy, and Billy Smith. Like, when you have 4 Conn Smythe Trophy winners on your team and you win 4 straight Stanley Cups, you're doing something right. On top of that, they have they hold the NFL or NHL record. Pardon me, I'm gonna be mixing up my American leagues here with all the NHL, NBA, NFL, blah, 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 tongue twisters. I'm gonna be mixing those up, but they hold the NHL record for most consecutive playoff series wins with 19. That's insane right there. And then their 1980-81 team is considered one of the best all time. They finished with a record of 48, 18, and 14. And in that season, that's the year that Brian Trottier won the Smythe Trophy. That is also when they won one of the Stanley Cups. So you have that. You put together a legendary season like that. It's hard not to put it in how. I don't think it belongs in this doesn't make sense. But it is still ridiculous to put a team like that at that point right now. And then the second hockey dynasty that I decided to put into this tier list are the Canadiens of the 60s. They had 5 straight Stanley Cups, and they finished first 4 times. They finished first in the NHL 4 times during that span. During the 60s, they had 6 Stanley Cups total. They have 4 Norris trophies between Maurice Richard, Jean Bellevue, and Doug Harvey. They were just on one of the most dominant runs of all time, but I feel like the Islanders teams are more impressive when you just consider the fact that they hold more records. They won almost the same amount of Stanley Cups. 4 consecutive is impressive to say the least. And then also the Smythe Award, the Smythe Trophy winners, you have 4 of those on those Islander teams. So I'm having the Islanders just above the Canadiens, but nothing too crazy, all things considered. And then we get into the Yankees. This is tricky because I didn't put in the early year Yankees with DiMaggio and all of those. I stuck with the '90s Yankees, but that like Real Madrid, I'm not putting them that high. It's 4 World Series in 5 years is, hey, good for you. That's insane to me. When you're led by players like your core four of Jeter, Rivera, Petit, and Posada, hey, I won't complain. You are a dynasty right there. You're called the last dynasty of baseball. And honestly, I agree. Ever since then, it's been the era of parity. There haven't been teams that are just maintaining their level of dominance like that. Sure, you had the Giants winning 3 in 5 years back in the early 2010s. You have the Dodgers team. Now they won it in COVID and then back to back these past 2 years. So maybe something there, but it's nothing to the level that the '90s Yankees were. And they had arguably also the best season in baseball history. 114 wins, 11-2 in the postseason in '98. Like, that's insane to me. Most teams don't even like come close to that now. And then yeah, I just completely forgot about the early Yankees. They would definitely be on this list. That's a debate. Honestly, I would put them at, it doesn't make sense. The amount of World Series that they won at this time just like doesn't compute. Fair enough that there weren't that many teams back then. The West Coast, there wasn't really the expansion teams. The league was a lot smaller than it is today, but it's still something that's just, it's hard to wrap your mind around when you consider everything that is baseball now. But I only had one baseball team in here. I got two football teams. The first one is the '70s Steel Curtain Steelers. This is tough. This is really, really tough. I think I like the Steelers, but they're going in nice. Not crazy, but nice. 4 Super Bowls, 6 seasons, nice. One of the best defenses ever. They only give up 9.9 points in 76. They had Hall of Famers. You had Joe Green, you had Terry Bradshaw, you had Mel Blount, you had Franco Harris, you had Lynn Swan, you had Jack Lambert, you got John Stallworth, you got Ronnie Shell, Mike Webster, Jack Ham. Like, that's a loaded team right there. And there's a reason they were the best team in the NFL. There's a reason they held the record for most Super Bowls won by a franchise until the Patriots came along. But I just can't put them up against these other teams just because their longevity was a bit short. It was only 6 seasons of longevity. When you look at these other teams, that's kind of why those teams are in nice. The '90s Yankees, not crazy longevity. The '60s Real Madrid, you had 5 years. When you look at these other teams, the '80s Islanders, they had the whole decade. '60s Canadians, they had the whole decade. UConn has been doing it for 30 years. Saban did it for 20. UCLA did it for 20. Barcelona, they did it for like a decade. So it's also just a longevity factor for me that docks points from the Steelers. Now we get into the tricky stuff. We got Brady. I am not a Patriots fan in the least bit. But the Patriots just still don't make any sense to me. I'm sorry. When you win 6 Super Bowls and have 9 appearances, you've played in more Super Bowls than any other team in the league. You've played more Super Bowls than a lot of franchises combined. Like, what are we talking about here? And then when you just look at their dominance, you have 17 AFC East titles. You had 11 straight from 09 to 2019. That just doesn't make sense. On top of that, when Brady was at the helm, you had 249 total wins, including the postseason. A football season was only 16, 17 games long. Plus postseason is like 20. 249 wins when a season is maximum 20 games long. Is that computing? Like, it's insane. And when you keep in mind, Brady missed a full season with a torn ACL. So you just tack on another 12, 13 wins of prime Brady. That's what? 262 wins? Total wins? Like, it's not even close. I don't care that Belichick and Robert Kraft aren't elected first ballot to the Hall of Fame. That's a robbery. They should have been. Brady will be a first ballot Hall of Famer. You had Randy Moss on that team. You had Gronk on that team. Those are two of the best at their position. Brady is considered the GOAT of football, not even of quarterbacks, of just football in general. It just doesn't make sense what they were able to do with that team. And over that duration of time, over 20 years, you win 17 of the titles and you're in the Super Bowl pretty much every other year. That's just wild to me. But that's the NFL. We get into the NBA now. It's everything's looking pretty even. But I might ruffle some feathers here. I'm a Warriors fan. I will get that out the way. I have a bias here, a very big bias. Journalism professors will say that I am not being objective, but I will try my best to do so, which is why the Warriors are going in impressive. Hey, nice, cool. You won 4 chips in 8 seasons. Nice. You had 3 and 4 years. Nice. You have the most wins in a season. You have 73 and 9 season. Nice. You did give up a 3-1 lead in the finals to LeBron. Not the best. Even though we're deflecting the NBA stimulus package, Draymond Green suspension. We will not mention that. We will not talk about that. We'll leave that to wander into the void of nothingness. You did completely revolutionize the game of basketball. Some people say you ruined the game of basketball. I am not one of those people. I think that you did your due diligence. And Steph Curry is what was needed. That man is a god. He is a top 10 player in my book. I don't care what anybody says. You also had Kevin Durant on that team. You had Draymond Green as well. Klay Thompson as well. Very nice. When everybody had written the Warriors off back in 2022, people were saying, the Warriors are going to win. Steph Curry's done. He proved them wrong. He dragged a team with Jordan Poole. Hello, James Wiseman. Hello, Jonathan Kuminga just got shipped out. He dragged that team to a championship. Put the Celtics to sleep. 9-9, Jason Tatum. No one likes you, especially not me. He dragged that team beat the Celtics, won the 2022 championship, finally got his finals MVP. But there were some major gaps between then. You had a season where you were I believe record-wise, you were the worst team in the NBA. You ended up getting the second or third overall pick in that draft. You did draft James Wiseman too, which was horrible. So we're docking you for that. And there's also there's the gap between 2015 and 2019 where you're making the finals every year. But then for 2020, 2021, you're like, what are we doing here? Like, hello, are we good? We bad? We're there. And then you get to 2022, you win another chip. So for that, you're getting docked, but still, very impressive to say the least. And then we get to the 50s and 60s Celtics. Yeah, no. Like, hello, what are we doing here? That team just does not compute to me. 11 rings in 13 seasons. 11. Hello? You have 8 titles in a row from 59 to 66? What? True, you're playing against plumbers, but when players like Wilt Chamberlain can't even sniff a title when you're around, it's just insane. There's no one else but the Celtics in the 50s and 60s. What I said about the 60s and 70s and people wanting to watch basketball in college, that's what the 50s and 60s Celtics did to the NBA. Like, that is the dynasty of the NBA. You have, I don't even know how many Hall of Famers. You have Bill Russell, you have Cousy, you have Sam Jones, you have Havlicek. They're all Hall of Famers, all in the NBA 75. You also got Casey Jones, Frank Ramsey, and Bill Sharman. Like, the amount of Hall of Famers on that roster and just the streak that they went on is just mind-altering. And it's just, what are we doing here? How is this possible? And then finally, we get to what a lot of people consider the dynasty in basketball, apart from the Celtics, which Celtics are better. Don't if and or but me, I don't care. We got the 90s Bulls. Michael Jeffrey Jordan, the GOAT of basketball. 6 rings in 8 seasons, 2 separate three-peats. You got Jordan, Pippen, Rodman, Phil Jackson. You got 72 and 10, plus a chip in 65, 66. You have 558 and 230 record from 89 to 99. Like, that team was impressive, and it just does not compute to me what they were able to do. The amount of winning and the fear that they put in people. I'm sure you've watched the Last Dance documentary. You've seen things that have come out there, what people have said about the Bulls, the insanity of Jordan, that what he did to win. That the lore partially contributes. I won't deny that at all. That kind of adds to the how factor, how you were able to keep that team intact after punching teammates and doing all that. I don't know. But the fact that you did it is impressive to say the least. It just doesn't make sense to me. But this is my tier list of the top dynasties, of the 13 dynasties in sports. You can debate there are more. Honestly, I would say you got the early year Yankees. I already mentioned them. I would consider putting in here The 80s Celtics too. Probably you can toss in here with Bird, Parrish, McHale. That's an honorable mention as well. And then I potentially Manchester United, Sir Alex Ferguson, Manchester United, that dominance of Premier League runs with also the European success is a very, very good shout, very honorable mention there. I feel like you could also throw in the Pele. Yeah, you could throw in the Pele Brazil teams. Early Brazil teams, they won 3 World Cups, which is the toughest sporting event, honestly, to play in out of all of these sports. It's the best players from around the world. So that is also an honorable mention there that I didn't put, but could have been on that list. And then who else? I don't really know if there's anyone else that I could put in here. Like football was dominated, like modern football has been dominated by the Patriots. You could probably throw in a 49ers team, like the 49ers teams as well, like those 80s, 90s 49ers team with Steve Young, Joe Montana, Jerry Rice, all of them. You could probably throw them in here as well. I wouldn't be too mad at that, but honestly, it's not a bad list. I'm happy with this tier list. If I ruffled some feathers, oh well, sucks to suck, dude. What can I say? This is my tier list, my rules. So yeah, I this was fun though. I enjoyed this. But that's enough for the main topic. That's enough for tier listing the top franchises in sporting history. Now, let's have some fun with game time. Welcome to game time. This should be rather interesting. Last time didn't go too well for some of the stuff, but let's give it another shot here. Okay. First game that we're going to play is we're going to try and name all of the college football champions. Start Indiana, Ohio State, Michigan, Nebraska, Michigan State. Why am I blanking here? Alabama. I can never spell Auburn properly. LSU. I can never spell Georgia right either. USC 1-1. UCLA. Notre Dame. Oregon's definitely not on here. 2018. Oh, Clemson. Duh. Clemson. Who else am I missing here? Oh, Florida, obviously. Miami. Who won it in 2013? I feel like I should know that. But we're gonna move on from that. Miami. Florida State. Oh, yeah, Florida State did win. I already said Florida with the Tebow games. Who else? Who else? I said Nebraska, Texas, Oklahoma, Texas and Oklahoma. No way Texas A&M won, right? No, Texas A&M hasn't won any. I don't think Oklahoma State has won any either. Oklahoma State hasn't either. Colorado? Interesting. I did not know that. Stanford? That's way too far out there. Yikes, dude. I still need 9 more schools. Said Notre Dame. Illinois? No. Nebraska. Who are these other? Wisconsin. No, I'm just my mind is going straight to Big Ten schools because they've just been around. I said Ole Miss, right? Mississippi State, no. I said LSU. I said Alabama. I said Auburn. Said Georgia. Who else am I missing here? Carolina, any of those? No. Iowa State, no. Penn State, should have gotten that. Pitt as well. Who else am I missing here? I should know these. This is embarrassing. Tennessee. Tennessee, really? Wasn't sure about them. Tennessee, Arkansas. No, Arkansas hasn't. Said Iowa. Arkansas. There's no way Kentucky, right? Nope. Rutgers. I feel like Illinois has to have won one, but they haven't. Who else? Utah? No way. Texas Tech. Oklahoma State. This is embarrassing. But I don't know. Washington, Georgia Tech, Minnesota. I knew there were more Big Ten schools. Minnesota and Maryland. That's not. Big Ten schools will be the bane of my existence. All right. You know the drill. We've done this before. We're building a team. We got quarterback, running back, tight end, 2 wide receivers, coach, O-line, defense, and a defensive player spinning it on the wheel. Let's get started. Hopefully this goes better than last time. Last time I was terrible. Start out with the Cowboys. I will take that. We will start with George Pickens. He is an absolute monster. He was 4th or 3rd in the receiving. Please don't be the Raiders. No. Actually, tight end. We'll take Brock Bowers. I'll live with that. Could have been a whole lot worse. Could be the Panthers a whole lot worse. Okay. Who do we take here? We're obviously not taking quarterback. Defense wasn't great. O-line isn't horrible. Do we take Kadoosh at wide receiver? Nah. I'll take Canales as the coach. It's better than all the other options, I guess, but I'm not thrilled about that. Why is this thing keep going to. Okay, never mind. Mahomes. This is very. Dude, Mahomes through the Brock Bowers and George Pickens is disgustingly good. Ooh wee. I just get a good. Okay. Jets. Definitely not taking that defense because they don't have any defensive players. Brees Hall. I'll give them their O line. Their O line is bad. They got some players. They got Armand Membu. They got Olu. So it's not bad. Well, it didn't matter who I took. So guess we'll take Brees Hall. Don't ask me why, but I was looking at his stats. He's 14th in scrimmage yards since he entered the NFL. So that's not horrible. It would be nice if we had something else. Oh, 49ers. Yeah, give me Fred Warner. Give me Fred Warner, the best linebacker in the league. Now I just need a defense and another receiver. I don't care whoever I get here. That is disgusting. That offense is disgusting. Mahomes, Brees Hall, and Mahomes throwing to Bowers, Pickens, and Jettas is nasty. Now, can I get a good defense? Bear, yeah. Panthers defense. Yuck. But that's not horrible. That could be a lot worse. All right, we'll read it out here. So we got Mahomes at quarterback. Running back, we got Brees Hall. Tight end, Brock Bowers. Wide receiver 1, George Pickens. Wide receiver 2, Justin Jefferson. Coach, Dave Canales. O-line of the Jets. Defense of the Panthers. And we got Fred Warner as our defensive player. Honestly, that's not bad. Warner does a lot for that Panthers defense because they didn't really have a linebacker. And then that offense is wow. We've seen what Mahomes can do with an offense that didn't have receivers. Now we give him 2 of the top 5 receivers in the league plus a top 3 tight end. Yeah, no, that team's winning Super Bowl. I don't care. All right, next thing, we're going to stay with the NFL here. We got this NFL team based off of the college. So, Georgia running back. But Maryland receiver. Is this the Patriots? It is not the Patriots. Maryland. Utah. Didn't Dalton Kincaid go to Utah? But I don't know where James Cook went. We'll give this a shout. It was the Bills. Okay. Nice. I will take that. And then we'll build the NFL lineup here. Who are we looking at? Wow, Derrick Henry for 3. We'll take that. Who else? Interesting. Well, obviously we're taking Stafford for 1. And then I feel like George Pickens and Rashid Shaheed aren't horrible options, and I still got $5 left. How do I want to spend this? I don't know. This is very tough. Or with that, I still got $1 left. And do I just take Dallas Goedert? Yeah, I'll do that. Honestly. Oh, I'm over. My bad. I can't do that. Never mind. Huh. I don't know. This is tough. Stafford for 1. Then do I just go broke? And just say screw tight end? Yeah. No one cares about tight end. That was the most popular one. I love it. Absolutely love it. Yes, sir. I mean, that offense goes stupid anyways. But love that. All right. We're switching over. We're switching sports, soccer, same shebang. We got a roster here, 11 players. We got to fill it out. Let's get started. Last time I had an Ajax striker, and okay, I was about to say I'm about to have an Ajax striker again. Porto. Who is on Porto? Who is on Porto? The only player that is coming to mind right now, I think. You can correct me if I'm wrong. I think Fofana. I think he's at Porto now. If I'm not wrong. But. Oh, no. Why? Stop giving me. Ugh, Benfica. Dude, this is like the third time in a row I've gotten Benfica. And I can't think of players other than Otamendi that play for them, which is a bit of an issue. Please give me a go. Okay. Now we're getting somewhere. We're getting somewhere here. I could do a lot of stuff with this. There's Gara. I have Vitinha in the midfield. I could go Dembele has I don't know. Cause if I go Cabra at the right, that kind of takes yeah. Yeah, I'll do that. Not bad. A lot of options there. I don't think you can really go wrong with taking any of those players on PSG. City or United? Take United. Who do we take from United? Take Bruno. I'm definitely not spelling that name right, but we'll take Bruno Fernandes. Not bad. Could be a whole lot worse. Stop giving me these Portuguese teams, dude. Oh, Benfica. Who do I take from Benfica? I think striker isn't bad. I don't know how to spell his name. I think it's Pavlidis. I I could be very wrong on how to spell that name, but I think it's somewhere along that lines. He hasn't been playing bad. But dude, every time I get such a random player. Roma. Dude, I don't know who to take for these. So take Mancini. Dude, I'm getting repeat like teams. These feel like I'm just reconstructing teams that I built last time. Dortmund. Keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. Dortmund. Who in the world do I want to take from Dortmund? Interesting. Dortmund, I feel like there are good options for Dortmund. I just have to, because I'm seeing a winger, midfielder, my outside backs, and my keeper, which is honestly very crucial positions. Interesting. I feel like the only player that's coming to mind right now is. Ew. Oh, dude, this team sucks. Oh, this wheel is the bane of my existence. It started out so well. Oh, no, 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 no. Oh, my God. I don't want Dortmund again. Dude, this is disgusting. How in the world do I play this? I'm gonna. That's disgusting. But I'm putting Emre Can there just because of the justification that they play a 3-4-2-1, I believe. And in those formations, they have him at center back, kind of like a wing back ish. So I'm putting Emre Can there. But dude, I am disgusted right now. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you for giving me Rafinha. Thank you for being normal. Give me a good player that makes sense. Manchester United. Why am I blanking on the goalie right now? Well, the goalie doesn't really matter because they have Luke Shaw at left back. So hopefully I get a good goalie here. That would be nice. Why? Why? This is the third time. I don't want the Dortmund goalie. I don't want the Dortmund goalie at all. His name. Oh, they played Atalanta. I should know this because I watched that game. I think it starts with a C. C. No, it starts with a K. Kobel. I think. Dude, this is disgusting. Oh my gosh. This is horrible. I hate this is even worse than last time, and last time was bad. Oh wow. Okay, we got Kobel in goal. Left back we got Luke Shaw. Center backs we got Mancini and Otamendi. On the right we got Emre Can. Midfield we got Bruno Fernandes, Julian Brandt, and Fofana. And up front, going from left to right, we got Rafinha, Paulidis, and Cavara. Dude, this is disgusting. This is so bad. Oh my jeez. Wow. I need to wash my brain of this. that is why we're going to start with guessing the Premier League player, apparently. Midfielder Erling Haaland. He's on City. He's 25 years old. He's not a striker. GV? That's his name, right? He's a defender. Oh, I was right with close with the name at least. Bardiol. No way Rico Lewis is that young. Or that old. It's an English. Oh, who are the English defenders on City? John Stones is ancient, right? Yeah, John Stones is way too old. Oh, who are these English players on Manchester City? I shouldn't. English defenders on Manchester City. Defenders. Oh, wait. Who's that Crystal Palace defender that they got? Was it? How do you spell this dude's name? That guy. It is Mark Guehi. Yes. I'm feeling revived here. I'm feeling better. Oh, we're being saved. And now we get to some good old FIFA foot draft. What formation do we feel like going with here? 4-3-3, not bad. 3-1-4-2 isn't bad either. Yeah, I'll go that. Who do we take? I want to take Griezmann. And then we'll take him. He gets chemistry. Okay. Swap that around. Get a bit more chemistry. Oh, wow. Do we take Pires or Overmars? We'll take the French connection here. Oh, my goodness. 96. Well, the stinkers were bound to come at some point. So we'll take him. We'll take the French guy. And what is happening with this game right now? I have full chemistry. Oh my god. Well, there goes my full chemistry, but I just got a 99 center back. We'll take Varane, swap those around, get even more chemistry. And what do we take here? Harry Maguire! Not bad. Goalkeeper. Donnarumma gives us 0 chemistry, but that is a 91 rated team, and I have a stinky player in there. Does he get more chemistry? It doesn't matter. After that, can we get someone to replace Harry Maguire? Not really, but we'll take Hernandez. Munir. We'll just take Papu Gomez for the rating. After that, Summer, I guess. Oh, this started off so well. No. This started off. No, not the. Okay. Guerrero, I can. Okay. Thank you. Okay. Sorry. That lowers chemistry, but I don't care. That saves my chemistry. Thank you. Very nice. After that, who do we? Ziyech, Premier League player. Not horrible. Who else? Who else? Who else? Who else? No. Come on. Oh, no. Ew. Please. You've got to be kidding me. You've got to be kidding me. There's no way I get chemistry here. Well, that helps some chemistry. And then I can do that. Dude. 99 rated. It's just Donnarumma doesn't give me any chemistry. And I don't. Summer isn't going to get anything better. Oh, this is so. 189. Oh, this started off so well. No. I guess. Sadness plagued me once again. Oh well. We got to move on. Our third wheel draft. This time we're going to the NBA. Simple 5-man roster. Started off current players only. So hopefully it's not horrible. You've got to be kidding me. I had to say something. The worst team in the NBA. I just had to open my mouth, didn't I? I had to say something. And it rewarded me with Zach LaVine. And now it's giving me the Utah Jazz. I hate this wheel spin. I absolutely hate this. Who do I go for here? Interesting. I don't. Put Lowry at the 4. So I feel like there's better centers out there. So we'll do that. And right on cue. Right on cue. Nice. Well, we're moving Lowry to the 5 and we're putting Giannis at the 4. This team is disgusting. Please. No. Oh my gosh. Jalen, dude, this team is disgusting. Dude, I need like Cade Cunningham. I need Shea. I need. Not the Mavericks. Dude, this is the nastiest. And this is without injuries. But this is the nastiest team I have ever assembled. This is even worse than the soccer draft. This is just pure nasty. Ew. Kyrie, LaVine, Jalen Johnson, Giannis, and Lowry? No. Ew. Absolutely not. Oh, I'm so cooked. Hopefully this blind tier list is going to fry me too. Grant Hill. Kuzma, get out of here. Mitch Richmond. Go here. Tatum will put him here. Larry Bird. KD will put him there. Carmelo feels like a safe tier 3. Sean Marion there. And Grant Hill. But dude, that's not bad. That's very good. Oh. What was the category? Scoring forwards? Dude, that is fine. What are we talking about here? That's perfectly fine. Next one. Who'd we put in here? A franchise GOAT. David Robinson. He's not a franchise GOAT. Put him at tier 4. Get out of here. Jordan, tier 1. Hakeem, we'll put him tier 3. I feel like Harden. Russ, will put him tier 3. Reggie. D Wade there. Dr. J. Ugh. Jokic, tier 2. He's their only legend. That feels right. That actually. What would I change here? Jordan is obviously the team legend of all time. So is Steph. And so is Jokic. And then I feel like Reggie is also like up there as sole team legend for his team. Hakeem is kind of battling it with Harden. I feel like Wade is kind of battling it with LeBron, and Russ kind of battling it with KD and Shea. More Shea now because KD left. David Robinson, dude, no one thinks of him as a team legend. Everyone thinks they automatically think of Duncan. Dude, this isn't bad. All right. Let's do start bench cut. Ooh, Con. VJ. Ace. Even though Ace hasn't been playing bad, Con is just on a whole nother level. Oh, wow. I feel like MPJ. I feel like that's the safest thing. And then, the tiny handles. Go AI. Just because D Rose's prime was cut short. I hate to do this. And then, this is easy. I don't care. Thank you. Cooper Flag is a dog. And then, this is my last one. Start bench cut. I'll put Scotty at start. Dude, I love Scotty Barnes. DeJounte Murray and Norman Powell. Yeah. I feel like DeJounte Murray's just fallen out of favor with everybody right now. And then last game, we'll play Podal. I am surprisingly good at this. A guard in the West, taller than 6'2". Go Derek White. He's a guard in the East, taller than 6'4". He's not in the Atlantic Division. Is it Cade? We're getting close. It's not the Central Division. Who are these other big guards? The Hawks. Whatever. He's on the Hawks. Who are their point guards? They don't have point guards, dude. Jalen Johnson is not a guard. Is he? No, he's a forward. And then Dyson Daniel. This is not Dyson. Never mind. It is Dyson Daniels. He's a guard? Thought he was a wing. Wow, my NBA knowledge is rough. But, hey, I still got it. So, I will take that. And that is the end of game time. Honestly, it wasn't bad apart from the wheel. The wheels killed me. They were horrible. Well, the NFL one wasn't bad. Dude, giving me Dortmund 3 times, Benfica is just disgusting. And then you give me Jazz, Mavericks, Kings for the NBA. That's just rough. But it was not bad. Pretty fun, though. So that's it for game time. Welcome to the final part of the show where we're going to be previewing some of the games and events that are going to be happening between now and the next show. A lot of variety here, so you can pick and choose whatever you want. First off is UFC 326 on Saturday night. We got Charles Oliveira, my GOAT, love him, challenging Max Holloway for the BMF title. A lot of people are saying that this is Oliveira's final dance and that he will get his belt rung by Max. I don't necessarily agree with that, even though I do believe it is his last ride. I don't think he's going to get his belt rung. I would love to see him win that BMF title. So I will tune in for that for sure. I will tune into every Oliveira fight, no matter who it is. And then after that, at middleweight, we got Caio Borralho versus Reiner de Ritter. Caio is coming off of a loss to Imavov, and de Ritter is coming off a loss to Brendan Allen. So it'll be interesting to see how both of these fighters look to bounce back after those losses. And really, this fight determines who will be able to jump back into the top 5, whether they'll be able to challenge those top 5 apart from Imavov, who's waiting for Chimaev. The rest of them, it'll be interesting to see how that shakes out after this fight. And then we go down to bantamweight. You got number 13, Rob Font versus Raul Rosas Jr. There's a massive experience gap between those two. You got Font with 31 fights under his belt, while Rosas only has 12. So it'll be interesting to see whether the experience for Font is an advantage or whether Rosas Jr. can take advantage of his youth and be calling out Chihuihuis at the end of his fight in victory. And then at lightweight, you got Drew Dober versus Michael Johnson. Again, a big gap in experience. You got Dober with 23 fights under his belt, while Johnson only has 9. So, like Rosas and Font, it'll be interesting to see how that experience comes into play. And then finally, the last fight of the main card is number 13, Gregory Rodriguez, RoboCop versus number 15, Bruno Ferreira. Last time I watched RoboCop was against Jared Cannonier, and in that fight, he had a good, I think it was first round and a half. After that, he kind of got gassed out. So the question is whether his gas tank will survive, and if not, can Ferreira capitalize on that? But that's it for the UFC. I am certainly going to be sitting back and enjoying that, though. Then we got the NBA. This is a great slate of games. Nothing really on Saturday. We'll save that for the UFC, but Sunday. We got 3 amazing games. We started off with the Celtics and the Cavaliers at 1 p.m., followed by the Knicks and the Lakers at 3:30, and rounding out your Sunday night, you got Rockets against the Spurs at 8. I cannot wait for this. This is going to be absolutely amazing. And I'm going to have a great time. I'm not going to do anything but watch NBA hoops all Sunday. And then on Monday, you got the best game of this NBA slate. You got the Nuggets and the Thunder at 7:30 on Monday. I don't care that I have class. I don't care if I have homework. I'm tuning into that over everything else. Not sorry. I don't want to be an academic weapon. I want to be an NBA junkie. And then we go over to soccer. Nothing crazy, but we have Newcastle United versus Manchester City. I feel like I've previewed this game like 3 times already. But the difference between this game and the other ones is that this is in FA Cup. The other ones were Premier League. So this game is at 3 p.m. on Saturday. This will be a nice preview, nice way to really relax on Saturday and enjoy some soccer before I tune in to the UFC and watch some dudes get their faces smashed in. And then on Sunday, it's the Derby di Milano. You got Milan and Inter at 3:45 Eastern. This is going to be sharing a screen with that Knicks Lakers game. It doesn't matter to me. I will be tuning into this because no matter what year it is, what the standings are, even though these teams are 1 and 2 in Serie A, there is always going to be fireworks. The pure hatred between these two teams is insane, and I am all here for it. I love every minute of that. So that will be what I am doing on Sunday along with that Knicks-Lakers game. And then finally, rounding out the slate of games, we got college hoops. Not a huge amount of games like there has been in the past couple weeks. I've been previewing at least 4 games every week this time. We only got 2, but we got the rivalry of college hoops. You got North Carolina and Duke. There's no getting around that. That is the rivalry of college hoops, and that will always be the rivalry of college hoops. This game is at 6:30 Eastern. Honestly, my Saturday is looking nice, dude. I got Newcastle and City and I'm going to follow that up with the North Carolina Duke game, and then I round my night out with the UFC 326. That's a great time, and I can't wait to see that game play out because there's always fireworks. This is kind of like Inter or Milan-Inter. No matter what the seeding is, how these teams are doing, what point in the season they're at, something's bound to happen. And then the other college hoops game is number 8 Michigan State versus number 3 Michigan. It's at 4:30 Eastern on Sunday. My Sunday is going to be so good. I got 3 NBA games. I got Inter Milan, and now I also got Michigan State Michigan. I'm going to be watching Knicks Lakers, Inter Milan, Michigan State, and Michigan all at the same time. I don't know how I'm going to do it. I'll probably have one of these games on my iPad, 2 on my computer, but it's going to happen. I don't care. I need to tune into all of this because this is must-see TV. But those are all the games that are happening in the world of sports between now and our next show, the new show on Tuesday. Stay tuned for the new show on Tuesday. It's going to be the start of the new NFL league year, so a lot of stuff can happen. Free agency is going to start. Trades are going to happen with more frequency, apart from the ones that have already happened, DJ Moore and others. So a lot of stuff is going to happen there, and I can't wait for that. It's going to be a fun time seeing what teams make which moves. But yeah, other than that, I had a fun time this episode. I never thought I would be comparing the Oilers and Barcelona or looking at Kareem's UCLA teams and comparing them to the Brady Patriots. That was something that I never thought I would be doing, but there's a first time for everything, I guess. So stay tuned for that new show on Tuesday. If you're on YouTube, like, comment, subscribe. If you're on Spotify, follow, leave a comment. Anything you can do to engage with the content. And until then, enjoy this amazing slate of games because I certainly will. And peace.